Hey, what's up everyone? It's Brian here with Kaufman Home Automation. Just going to show you real quick the version 1.6 firmware for the bulbs that we just posted. It's a big update, very highly anticipated, at least by me, and a lot to get to, so let's hop right in. First thing you'll notice after you update is this new select entity here. It's the KAUF Bulb power on state, and that's going to allow you to select what you want to happen when power is applied to the bulb. So by default, it's always going to turn the bulb on to bright white. And that's just so that new bulbs turn on and you're going to know instantly if the bulb's working and there's power to the socket. You could also do always on to last value, and that means the bulb's always going to turn on. And just to the most recent, whatever color temperature that you had it on before. Restore power off state. It's going to just return to whatever the state was when the power was cut. So if the bulb was off, it's going to stay off. If the bulb was on, it's going to turn on. And then finally, always off. You're just never going to have the light on whatsoever when power comes up to the bulb. Second big change we made was a few tweaks to the way that fading works in ESP Home. So here's the default ESP Home fade curve. They use a sigmoid function, and you can see it falls rapidly and then kind of floats around zero towards the end of the curve. And the problem here is that the ESP8266 software PWM, it just doesn't have that many steps. So starting about here, you're not going to have anything. The light's just going to turn off. So if you, let's say, have a 15-second fade, you've got a good 4 or 5 seconds here at the end of the fade that it's already off. Your fade's done. To solve that problem, we basically just took the fast gamma curve from Tasmota. So you can see here, it's just 3 linear sections, and you're going to have light all the way out here to the end. It's not floating near zero like the sigmoid curve from ESP Home. Another useful tweak that really helps out the fading quite a bit is that I updated the Arduino ESP8266 core version to 3.0.2. And what that gives you is they rewrote quite a bit of the PWM logic in a couple different pull requests here. So it's going to be a lot more accurate at low brightnesses, and you're not going to get so many glitches and flickering at these low brightnesses because the PWM is just going to be a lot more accurate. And then the third big change I think people are really going to like is that I fixed the way that ESP Home fades between color modes. So typically if you're going from color to temperature or vice versa, ESP Home's going to fade to off in between, so it's kind of a weird fade. I've seen a lot of people complain about this, but in this firmware now, when you fade from an RGB color to a color temperature, it doesn't go to off, it just goes straight through, so you're getting a smooth fade between color modes. The next big thing we added was a couple of fake light entities that are used to customize the warm and cold white temperatures of the main light. So these are disabled by default so that people don't get confused. So expand this list here and then you'll see cold and warm RGB. Click those, enable and update, and it's gonna tell you to wait 30 seconds. So do that, refresh the browser, and then we'll be right back. Once these entities show up, you'll see cold RGB, warm RGB here. As long as they're off, there's not gonna be any change. You're just gonna get the straight cold and warm white LEDs when you're in color temperature mode. You turn one of them on, open it up, and it's going to look just like any other light here. But this is where you can pick a color that you want to mix in with the warm or cold white LEDs. And then if you want a little less of the color, you can turn it down here. If you want more of the color, you can turn down the white here. So now when the warm white LEDs are on, you're going to get a little less warm and a lot of, let's just say red or orange, whatever you want. So play around with it, experiment, see what looks good. And then just keep in mind also this brightness, I disabled it since it's like just one too many sliders. You really only need to customize the color brightness and white brightness here. But I think you're gonna like it because now you can really get those real warm shades that maybe weren't possible before. And then finally is the wireless access point functionality. I already fixed this on the last plug update. But now on the bulb, I'm bringing that over so that once Wi-Fi is connected for the first time, the bulb's no longer going to put up a wireless access point. If it loses Wi-Fi, it's just going to sit there and wait for the Wi-Fi to come back. Unlike the plug, there's no button to hold down. So what you have to do for the bulb to get the access point back is that you've got to cut power to the bulb, get power back, and then cut power again. And basically what has to happen is the bulb boots up, never connects to Wi-Fi, and then gets turned off again. And so when it boots up another second time after that, it's going to realize that it never connected to Wi-Fi last time, and it's going to put up the wireless access point. And then what you might realize is the problem with that is if your Wi-Fi network still exists, there's no way to reconfigure it because the bulb's always just going to connect to your Wi-Fi network. So if you are in the situation where your bulb is connecting to your Wi-Fi network, but you want to clear the credentials and put in something different, what you need to do is I've added this switch here, clear Wi-Fi credentials. So you just need to toggle that, and it's going to clear the credentials and reboot itself and put up the access point. What I would recommend, don't enable it here. Just type in the IP address of the plug here. Go to the page here and then find it, clear Wi-Fi credentials, and it's just a lot easier to touch it in the web interface than enable it here and worry about touching it later on and accidentally clearing your credentials. And I think that's it for 1.6 on the bulbs. Definitely a lot of cool features added, but keep me posted if you think of anything else. Definitely want to keep rolling with new features. But in the meantime, really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you next time.